The mind of the living entity is known by the name of Lord Aniruddha, the supreme ruler of the senses. He possesses a bluish black form resembling a lotus flower growing in the autumn. He is found slowly by the yogis. So, the meditation, the object of meditation, the instrument of meditation are mentioned in this verse. Object of meditation is Lord Aniruddha. Prabhupada says all other meditations like meditation on voidness, on light, etc. So many are there. They're all modern inventions. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Vishnu Smaranam means meditating on Vishnu, constantly remembering Vishnu. So Lord Aniruddha is another form of Vishnu. So there are many things, many interesting things in this verse. Like we have earlier also discussed, in Bhagavad Gita, meditation is explained in 6th chapter. And Prabhupada has titled, the Sanskrit title of 6th chapter is Dhyan Yoga, but Prabhupada has entitled this chapter as Sankhya Yoga. Right. Now, Prabhupada explains in teachings of Lord Chaitanya that why this chapter is titled as Sankhya Yoga. Lord Kapila is explaining Sankhya Yoga to Mother Devahuti. And in this Sankhya Yoga that Lord Kapila is explaining to Mother Devahuti, meditation on Lord Vishnu is the highest goal, the highest process. Sankhya means differentiation between matter and spirit. So, Bhagavatam chapter is titled as Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. So, Lord Kapila is explaining fundamental principles of material nature. Material nature consists of 8 elements and 3 modes of. Further, Lord Kapila next chapter says understanding material nature. And then further, Lord Kapila's instructions on devotional service. So development, how Lord Kapila is step by step forwarding or developing his instructions. So first fundamental principles, then how the material nature works, understanding the material nature, and then Kapila's instructions on devotional service. So, in 5th chapter, Arjuna has asked a question to Lord. What is that question? I am confused by your equivocal instructions. Lord's equivocal instructions are give up work and at the same time work in devotional service. So Arjuna has asked a question. O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work. And then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? So Lord has told renounce work, or a person situated in knowledge need not work. Right? In 3rd chapter. In 4th chapter Lord says be equipped with this knowledge, be situated in this knowledge and fight. So 3rd chapter he says person situated in knowledge need not work. Now he's saying person situated in knowledge should get up and fight. So Arjuna is asking, you asked me to renounce work and again you asked me to work in devotion. So please conclusively tell which is better. So very interestingly, now Lord answers this question, which is connected to our verse under discussion in chapter 6. The blessed Lord said, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So one is the path of sannyasa, give up everything, go to forest. Second is the path of Sthanasthita Shrutigatam Tanvan Manobhir. Wherever you are situated, engage in devotional service. Tan by body, Van means Vani by speech, and Man means by mind. So by action, words and speech and mind, engage in Lord's service. Okay. So there are two different paths. One is meant for actually Brahman realization. They take sannyasa and renounce everything and meditate on the void or impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Another one is you engage in devotional service directly in connection with Krishna and attain Krishna. Now, while answering this, Lord further says, one who knows that the position reached by the means of renunciation, that is sannyasa path, can also be attained by works and devotional service, and who therefore sees that the path of works and the path of renunciation are one, sees things as they are. So here Lord says, both the paths ultimately lead to same goal. Right? Only the ignorant speak of karma yoga and devotional service as being different from the analytical study of material world, Sankhya. So those who are not in proper knowledge, ignorant, they think Bhakti Yoga is a different path, Sankhya Yoga is a different path, both are separate and they have separate goals. But Lord says no. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. So now, till here, Lord is saying the path of Sankhya and path of Bhakti are same. In Bhagavad Gita, in very brief, this thing, synopsis it is given. That Lord Kapila is explained in these three chapters, 26, 27 and 28. How path of renunciation, that is Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga, is same as Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga. Now, Sankhya Yoga, generally people understand analytical study of matter and spirit. So separate body and soul. Sankhya Yoga starts in Bhagavad Gita from 2nd chapter. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. Ubhayorapi dishtoyandas tonayas tattva darshibhihi. This is a Sankhya. From here Sankhya philosophy starts in Bhagavad Gita 2.16. So there, Lord explains, there are two things, Sat and Asat. Body is called Asat because it has no endurance. Soul is called Sat because it is everlasting. So whatever is everlasting, ever existing is called Sat. Whatever is temporary is called Asat. Right? And Tattvadarshi means seers of truth have concluded this. Sankhya entails that one separates matter and spirit. Oh, this is all matter, this is all temporary, so this is all matter. It is Asat, we have nothing to do with Asat. Soul is Sat, so we have to do with soul. Our goal is to meditate or attain or realize the soul. Now, in 5th chapter, Lord says, no, generally people understand Sankhya stops at soul realization. Right? Lord says, he who applies himself well to any of these two paths. Now we'll stop Sankhya at separate matter, attain soul. Bhakti Yoga requires direct connection with the Supreme Lord, directly engaging in service of the Supreme Lord. So direct God realization happens. So then there is a doubt. How Sankhya and Bhakti Yoga are same? It is stopping at soul realization. This is going to Bhagavad realization. He will go to Brahma Jyoti and this person will go to Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha. Right? So then Lord explains, he who applies himself well to any of these paths. So applying oneself well to Sankhya Yoga means Sankhya is not study of 25 elements. It is a study of 26 elements. 24 material elements plus soul plus super soul. Those who stop at soul in 25 elements, they have not completed their Sankhya study. So Sankhya requires to study the soul further. From where this soul has come? What is the constitutional position of this soul? Right? How this soul is constituted and what is the purpose of this soul's existence? All these things are part of Sankhya study. But those who are satisfied only by realizing soul and getting into Brahman, their study is incomplete. Therefore, Lord says, he who applies himself well, not just applies himself and does, no, kaam chalao, not like that. Applies himself well to one of these paths, achieves the result of both. Now, Prabhupada explains in the purport. One process is to find the root of the tree and next to water the root. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu. So, real student means who dwells deep into Sankhya. He will not be satisfied, okay, I am soul. If I am soul, what am I supposed to do? Right? What is my origin? From where I have come? What is my purpose of existence? So he dwells further. Why this creation? Why I was put into this creation? Who put me into this creation? How did I fall into this creation? Right? When he analyzes this, he'll realize that behind this whole creation and behind my existence, there is Vishnu. So what am I supposed to do with Vishnu now? So, the real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu, and then in perfect knowledge engages himself in the service of the Lord. Therefore, in essence, there is no difference between the two because the aim of both is Vishnu. One directly serves Vishnu, another one detaches from matter and goes to Vishnu. Ultimately goes to Vishnu. Now, when we are studying Bhagavatam, here in this section, this portion of Bhagavatam, this is how Lord Kapila is bringing this point of meditating on Vishnu, segregating matter from spirit, and then meditation on Vishnu is the ultimate purpose, right? Connecting with the Supreme Lord. So now, the mind of the living entity is known by the name Lord Aniruddha. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, Lord explains. He says, one should, anytime death will come, right? So, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaryut. Think of me all the times, at all the times, just think of me and do your prescribed duty of fighting. Think of me in the form of Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna. Right? Prabhupada specifically says that. So, think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time do your prescribed duty of fighting. Why? Because anytime death will come, we have to think of Krishna and go back to Godhead. How to think of Krishna? So next, Krishna says, next verse, Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagamina. There has to be constant practice of meditating on Krishna. Right? There has to be abhyas of meditating on Krishna. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. And mind should not deviate here and there. Chetasa means consciousness, na anyagamina. Nowhere else it should go. It should be brought back to Lord again and again by pulling it. Right? Now, how to practice this meditation or thinking of Krishna? How to think about Krishna constantly? So, Lord gives some qualities of the Lord, or the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna, in the next verse, he gives some qualities. On these qualities, one should meditate. So, one of the qualities given in Bhagavad Gita about meditating on Lord is Anor Anyam. Anor Anyam means he is smaller than the smallest. In 8.9, yeah. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anor Anyam Anusmaridya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. One should meditate on the Supreme Person as one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest. Now, here, Lord says, meditate on Lord with all these qualities. So, whenever you meditate on the Lord with all these qualities, in every situation of life, you will be able to think of Krishna. One of the qualities is who is smaller than the smallest. And the smaller than the smallest is explained by Prabhupada. How it is explained? He is smaller than the smallest. The living entity is 1/10 1,000th part of the tip of hair. But the Lord is so inconceivably small that he enters into the heart of this particle. So, soul is tiny, 1/10,000th part of tip of hair. Lord enters into this tiny 1/10,000th part of tip of hair, that tiny spark. Right? Therefore, he is called smaller than the smallest. As a Supreme Lord, he can enter into the atom and into the heart of the smallest and control him as a super soul. Right? So this is Achintya Rupam, inconceivable potency of the Lord. So when Lord is so small, with tiny soul he is sitting, then how does a yogi see? We say that Paramatma or super soul, Aniruddha, in the form of Aniruddha. Paramatma is also called as Janardhan. Janardhan is his name because he maintains the living entities. And Aniruddha is his name because the placement of Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma in his hands is such that that form of the Lord is called as Aniruddha. And because he maintains living entities by entering into their heart, Updashta, Anumanta, Bharta, so is known as Janardhan also. So Janardhan is name of Paramatma. So when we say in Bhagavatam it is written Pradesha Matra. Pradesha means distance between tip of thumb and tip of ring finger. That is approximately 8 inches. This is the size of Paramatma. But Bhagavad Gita says he has entered into this tiny particle. Right? And if he is 8 inches size, then ant is so small. How in ant's heart he is so big, 8 inches size. So it is not like that. It is the yogi sees him. Only the yogi sees him like that. Right? Lord is there as a tiny spark in the heart of a living entity. When a yogi meditates on the super soul in the heart, when his meditation is complete, the super soul gives darshan in the form of Aniruddha, which is of the size Pradesha, that is from tip of finger to tip of thumb to tip of ring finger, 8 inches. So it is a darshan given by the Lord, Paramatma, to a successful yogi who has accomplished his meditation and attained the qualification to see super soul in the heart. For others, they have to meditate on this form to attain that. And for everybody, the Lord is sitting as a tiny spark in the heart. Right? So now Lord Kapila is saying, so Lord Kapila is explaining here that he possesses bluish black form resembling a lotus flower going in the autumn, and he is found slowly by the yogis. So by constant endeavor of meditation, the yogis find him. So those who go to forest, even in the search of Brahman or Brahma Jyoti, their yoga is not complete unless they come to this conclusion that beyond Brahman, Brahmano hi Pratishtham, there is somebody who is maintaining this Brahman, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna or Lord Aniruddha. He is the master of the senses. Now, Prabhupada further explains, actually the process of yoga meditation as prescribed in this verse should be fixed upon the form of Aniruddha. By meditating on Aniruddha, one can become free from the agitation of acceptance and rejection. When one's mind is fixed upon Aniruddha, one gradually becomes God realized. Right? And he approaches pure status of Krishna consciousness, which is the ultimate goal of yoga. So, first step is from Brahman, go to Paramatma. Right? When a Sankhya yogi, all the yogas, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga essentially require meditation. All three yogas have meditation. Jnana Yoga is a constant meditation on Neti and Brahman. There is a constant meditation on Brahman. You have to remove all the material aspects, material features, material things from your mind, and you have to constantly meditate on blank, void. Dhyana Yoga is a constant meditation on Paramatma, and Bhakti Yoga is a constant meditation on Bhagavan. So all three processes require meditation. Right? So when we do devotional service, right, Krishna says in 11th chapter, Mat karma krin mat paramo. Mat karma krin means do my work. So we are doing Krishna's work. But mat paramo means making Krishna as the goal of life. So there has to be constant meditation on the goal of life. Even in this chapter, 6th chapter, Krishna says, for a yogi, he has to fix his mind on Krishna and constantly meditate on Krishna. So all three processes require meditation. Thus, with unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. So, now Prabhupada explains in the current verse, one has to meditate on Lord Aniruddha and in this way become God realized and eventually engage in devotional service. So just taking darshan of Paramatma is not enough. Realizing Paramatma is not enough. One has to understand, I am the servant of this Paramatma. It is my constitutional position to engage in transcendental loving service of this Paramatma, and then his Dhyan Yoga becomes Bhakti Yoga. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita here. In the 6th chapter, whatever Lord Kapila is teaching there, is explained by Lord here. A true yogi observes me in all beings, right? And also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized man sees me everywhere. A yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one. So when he realizes that the Paramatma whom I am seeing is the same Supreme Lord Krishna, I and the super soul within all creatures are one, worships me. So now he will not ask Paramatma for liberation, siddhis and other things. He will understand this Paramatma as Supreme Lord. He'll understand his own constitutional position and he'll start worshipping Lord. So Sankhya means first you separate matter and realize soul. From soul you realize super soul. And when you realize the super soul is the Supreme Lord, right? Sarvasya Sachaham Riddhi Sannivishto. I am situated in everybody's heart. He is that Supreme Lord. Aham Sarvasya Prabho Matta Sarvam Pravartate. He is that Supreme Lord from whom everything comes. Then he starts worshipping. So one worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. His Dhyan Yoga becomes Bhakti Yoga. So this is the process explained by Lord Kapila in these 3 chapters. Fundamental principles of material nature, understanding material nature, and Kapila's instructions on devotional service. Right? So how from matter to spirit, spirit to Supreme Spirit, and then to Supreme Personality of Godhead, one goes step by step. Right? So that's why Prabhupada says here, when one's mind is fixed upon Aniruddha, one gradually becomes God realized. He approaches the pure status of Krishna consciousness, which is the ultimate goal of yoga. Right? And then 6th chapter Lord concludes, topmost yogi, ultimate yogi is yogi nam api sarvesham mat gaten antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam. So he started with, Lord Krishna started chapter with going to forest. Right? Go to secluded place. Before that also some purificatory process is there. Go to forest, sit down, not on a very high or low platform, lay kusha grass, deer skin, so many things. Don't eat much, don't eat less. All instructions are there like that. But where he ends, he doesn't end at Paramatma, he doesn't end at Brahman also. He ends at Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam. Topmost yogi is one who serves me with devotion. So, finally, even Dhyan Yoga leads to Bhakti Yoga. Even if Arjuna wanted, I'll take shelter of Dhyan Yoga and escape, because in Dhyan Yoga you don't have to fight. So even if I want to escape fighting, I can take shelter of Dhyan Yoga. So Krishna says, if you progress in Dhyan Yoga, go on progressing, you'll understand, you'll realize Paramatma. Eventually you'll realize that Paramatma is I only. So you have to worship me, and you have to worship me means you have to follow what I say. I am saying fight. So after going to forest, meditating so much, you'll realize Paramatma, then you'll realize Bhagwan, and then you'll say, Bhagwan, how can I serve you? Bhagwan will say, go to Kurukshetra and fight. So better you fight now only, isn't it? So, Shraddhavan bhajate yo maham. Arjuna, you serve me with full faith. You will become the highest yogi automatically. You don't have to go through all this tedious process. Because Arjuna said, I can control wind. I cannot control mind. How will I practice this Dhyan Yoga process? So, Shraddhavan bhajate yo maham. Just serve me. You will go beyond this. You will attain the highest. So, devotional service. Ultimately, devotional service comes to serving Krishna. Mat karma krin, mat parmo. Sankhya Yoga comes to, ultimately Sankhya Yoga comes to Krishna. Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam. Serve me with full faith. Mad gaten antaratmana. Always think of me and serve me with full faith. Same thing. Mat karma krin, serve me. And mat parmo. Always think of me, make me the ultimate goal of life. Both the processes lead to the same goal. Only difference is Dhyan Yoga process first entails one detached from matter, then attached to Krishna. Bhakti Yoga process requires first you attach to Krishna, automatically you will detach from matter. So this is how Lord will further take this chapter ahead and will see many more interesting and instructive insights from this chapter. So we'll stop here. Granthar Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.